Watching News at Prime, let's continue the conversation around the mining sector. South Africa's legal mining industry recording 42 fatalities last year, the lowest number on record. For more on this, let's speak now to the Minerals Council of South Africa, and the portfolio here is modernization and technology, I think. And we are going to speak now to the senior executive, Sietse van der Woude, who joins us via the virtual platform. Mr. van der Woude, thank you very much for your time. 42 fatalities. It is the lowest recorded by the industry in recent times. But let me ask you the question this way, and I've gone through your statement very, very carefully. When you speak about zero harm, you always, or the wording before that is the shared vision, or it is the aspiration to get to zero harm. Will we ever get to zero harm in the mining industry?
I have no question about that, no doubt. I think this has been another very encouraging step in our journey towards zero harm, this new milestone that we actually achieved. So we're getting closer to eliminating fatalities from our industry, and also to achieve the aspiration of zero harm, which we share as the tripartite stakeholders. So if you think where we're coming from many years ago, where there were hundreds of fatalities in a year, and now coming to this 42, it is a milestone, a new milestone that we've achieved, and we will continue to build from there.
When you hear, though, criticism from a guest that I've just had before you, who says the reason the mining industry is recording these low statistics of fatality is because there are less and less people employed in the formal mining sector, many of them now moving to the illegal mining sector. Do you agree with that analysis?
No, it's simply not true. If we look not only at the absolute number of fatalities, we also look at what we call the fatality rates, which is the fatalities per 1,000 employees or per million hours worked. So when one actually do look at the rates, then you take into account the number of employees that are in the industry. And that rate over the years have also, together with the absolute number of fatalities, has also been coming down progressively. So it is not the case. We've got the statistic for that, and that was part of what was shared by the DMRE today.
Yeah. Well, fatalities, of course, are an important benchmark to understand where the mining sector is in terms of modernization and indeed safety. But just as life-changing a death of a person is to their family, their communities, injuries that are life-changing, occupational diseases that will possibly or ultimately lead to death, those are also important factors to look at. If we look at injuries, for example, you're saying that you've recorded a decline of 16% year on year, but here are the actual numbers. 1,800 recorded in 2024 versus 2,100 in the year before that. Occupational diseases, they've declined by 17%. The actual figures, 1,800 versus 2,200 the year before that. These are still frightening figures when you think about the debilitating effect that an injury or an occupational disease can have on a human being.
You're absolutely right in terms of that. I mean, if you just look at the number of fatalities, it remains heartbreaking to think that, you know, over the festive season last year, there were 42 families that missed a loved one. And then you're talking about people who've been injured and also people that have become sick. And I think this is where we say that we cannot rest. We cannot stop in our tireless efforts to make sure that we get to zero harm. So the collaboration, the innovation, and these things that have been driving the reduction and the improvement in our performance, we've got to continue with that, and it's becoming harder and harder as you come closer to zero. But as tripartite stakeholders, we're absolutely united that we will not rest until we get to zero harm.
Yeah. I must ask you this question, though. The rehabilitation of mines, whose responsibility is this? And why is this seemingly being neglected by the industry? And if you listen to the Minister of Mineral Resources, he appears to say it cannot be the responsibility of the state to go and close or seal a shaft that has been left open by a previous mining company.
Yeah, the responsibility is by law very clearly on the mine owner. So the minister made it very clear today that the ones where the state is involved in the closing is where there were mines that were abandoned at a time where there was not adequate legislation. But all our members, they're taking this responsibility extremely seriously, and they're either doing the rehabilitation as they're going along, or towards the closure of the mine.
Are there penalties for those who don't adhere to the law?
Yes, it's as per the legislation.
What kind of penalties do they face?
Well, there's negligence procedures as well as fines that can be issued.
How big a fine?
Well, it depends of the courts.
I'm sure you understand why I'm asking this question. The issue of illegal mining is becoming a pervasive problem for the entire country, not just government. But I want to ask a different question, and that's to do with artisanal mining. Is that something that you actively support as the mining industry? Once a mine or once a company decides that there is nothing left here, or at least they presume there's nothing left, could there be ways of re-engineering that shaft in order to make it possible for those that may want to get involved in small-scale mining?
I just want to say in all fairness that you are ambushing me, because I've made it clear that these are not the topics that we're going to discuss when we agreed to this interview, and that we were going to focus on the health and safety issues and the results that have been presented today. So I want to stick to that, what we've agreed.
Yeah, look, I get that, but this is a massive issue for the country, and I hope that the industry does understand that these are the difficult questions that have got to be asked. I appreciate why you may be reluctant to answer these questions, but I will try and ask you, though, one more time, whether the mining industry does support small-scale mining.
We are busy dealing with the issues of illegal mining in a very serious manner. This is not new issues. So we are looking at all the options that we can possibly look at to deal with this in a reasonable manner. And that may be every option is on the table.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. The representative there of the Minerals Council of South Africa.